Lost beyond the solar winds, more than 22 billion kilometers from home. Wrapped in ancient silence, Voyager 1. Humanity's oldest messenger to the stars, from hope, it endured. Through radiation storms, through silence, through the grinding years of interstellar exile. Half a century has passed, and still it whispers. But this time, it whispered something strange. A signal. Faint. Unexpected. And completely wrong. It didn't match any known pattern. It didn't match any known law. It was, by every calculation, impossible. The data made no sense. And that made it terrifying. So what did it find out there, in that invisible sea between the stars? What was it trying to tell us, from a place no human has ever touched? This is not a legend. This is not a myth. This is real. And it's happening now. It started in 1977. A launch. A leap into the unknown. Voyager was aimed not at a destination but at everything. It took the gravitational handoffs of giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, and used them to fling itself toward forever. What began as a 4-year mission has lasted for nearly 5 decades. It gave us the first close-up views of Jupiter's churning storms, of Saturn's impossible rings. And then it passed into shadow, beyond Pluto, beyond light. In 2012, it crossed the heliopause, the edge of the sun's breath, and became the first human object to enter true interstellar space. But the silence wasn't empty. The darkness wasn't dead. Voyager began detecting plasma waves, charged particles humming like music through the void. It found magnetic fields, twisted, powerful, shifting. Not random. Not simple. Structured. Active. The edge of our solar system wasn't a wall. It was alive. The further it drifted, the stranger things became. And then, in 2024, something changed. At first, it was subtle. Brief magnetic surges that shouldn't have existed. NASA assumed the spacecraft was dying. Maybe it was noise. Maybe it was decay. But then the temperature readings shifted. One of the thermal sensors, long considered irrelevant in deep space, spiked. Not once. But in pulses. Rhythmic. Precise. Not from the sun. Not from the spacecraft. From outside. And still the pulses continued. 3 beats. A pause. 3 beats. A pause. Something out there was pulsing. Then came a second anomaly. Voyager's signal began to return with strange formatting. Data packets arrived in fragments, but with a strange coherence. The kind of coherence that looks like language. Not in words. Not in voice. But in the raw language of information. It was trying to tell us something. The solar system has boundaries. But they aren't lines. They are membranes, thin, shifting, like skin stretched across pressure. Voyager crossed one of those membranes. A rift. A tear. And what lay beyond was not emptiness. It was structure. A hidden region, where energy behaves differently. Where magnetic fields move like tides. And space itself seems to fold. Voyager's path shifted slightly. A subtle change. Too small to see with the eye, but real. Measured. Some called it a gravitational anomaly. Others called it interference. But no one could explain it. By 2025, Voyager's power was failing. Its nuclear heart dimming. The instruments were shutting down, one by one. But before the silence, a final gift. A low-frequency pulse, buried beneath the data stream. A tone. Barely audible. Repeating. Too precise to be noise. Too mathematical to be coincidence. By 2025, Voyager's power was failing. Its nuclear heart dimming. The instruments were shutting down, one by one. Buried beneath the data stream. A tone. Barely audible. Repeating. Too precise to be noise. With earlier plasma readings. Not natural. Recursive. Working quietly, found something stranger. The waveform matched harmonic patterns seen only in quantum experiments. The kind of pattern that suggests communication. Not speech. But resonance. As if Voyager had become an antenna. Or worse, a receiver. Then came the compass shift. Voyager's antenna reoriented. Not by command. By itself. It pointed toward a patch of empty space. No stars. No planets. Nothing. And yet, signals resumed. Data packets. Clean. Precise. Filled with symbols. Mathematical forms. Geometric recursions. And structures that resembled encryption. Not of Earth. Not of us. But undeniably intentional. A system. A message. Voyager had become a messenger again, but not from Earth. From somewhere else. Now, the final theory circulates in hushed meetings. Voyager may have passed through a doorway. Not a wormhole. Not a sci-fi portal. But a region of space where the laws we know begin to loosen. A fault line between realities. Where thought might shape matter. Where space might remember. And time might echo. In crossing it, Voyager triggered something. An attention. A response. And now, as it drifts toward eternal silence, it may have awakened something that listens. That answers. And maybe, just maybe, we've been heard. Not by gods. Not by aliens. But by the structure of the universe itself. The data was stored. Archived. Locked behind walls of skepticism and silence. No press release. No headlines. Just whispers in secured labs and late-night research calls. Because what Voyager 1 had transmitted was beyond interpretation. And worse, it was reactive. When the team sent a test ping back, an old signal just to confirm position, a return stream change. It shifted. As if it had noticed. As if something on the other end had understood. But how? Voyager has no consciousness. No intelligence. It is a relic of switches and wires, radioisotopes and copper. And yet, its behavior was no longer passive. Telemetry showed course correction, a tiny thruster burst, not in any program, not sent from Earth. The spacecraft was moving towards something. They checked the star charts. Calculated new vectors. Where was Voyager heading? Not toward Alpha Centauri. Not toward any known object. Just into void, a region between constellations, quiet, cold, mathematically dead. But then they saw it. Infrared data, buried deep in background noise. A blot, heat signature. Stable. Stationary. And unnaturally symmetrical. This was no comet. No asteroid. No debris. The shape was smooth, its heat constant, its location fixed like a beacon. An object, suspended between stars, emitting in patterns that mimicked Voyager's own signal return. Not coincidence. Not chance. A reply. A decision was made. Quietly. Off record. A dormant command routine was activated, an ancient one, meant only for deep emergency. Probe scan extended, tier delta. Voyager's remaining power was rerouted to its long sleeping sensors. Magnetometer. Cosmic ray system. Wave analyzer. And then, the golden record transmitter, the beacon meant for aliens, was powered up one last time. But instead of broadcasting, it began recording.